Named after their state of origin, the Texas Heeler is actually a cross between the Australian Cattle Dog and the Australian Shepherd. And lately, Texas Heelers have been stealing the hearts of thousands of families and people across America. These designer dogs have successfully impressed everyone with their wit and personality, and their lovely appearance is a perfect added bonus. Since the release of Far Cry 5 in 2018, which featured a Texas Heeler named Boomer, interest in these dogs has been growing rapidly. If you're looking to bring one of these guys home, find out everything you need to know about them in our list of top 10 interesting facts about the Texas Heeler. But before we start our list, we'd like to take a moment to express our thanks to all the original Texas Heeler owners on this video. The video would seriously not have been possible without them. So don't forget to check out these incredible dogs from their Instagram profiles that have been linked in the description below. And now, let's begin the list. Number 1. Their origin. Texas Heelers first originated in the state of Texas, but their history is much more complicated than that. The Texas Heeler is not a standard breed, but rather a crossbreed between the Australian Cattle Dog and the Australian Shepherd. Both of these breeds are used almost exclusively for herding cattle in the Australian outback. Cattle ranchers in Texas were in dire need of dogs that carried certain traits. Specifically, they wanted dogs that had the natural instincts to herd sheep and cattle effectively. This is why the breeders in the United States wanted to bring these Australian herding dogs to Texas. It is unclear when exactly the crossbreeding process took place in the US. However, records show that the first registered Texas Heeler showing up sometime in the early 1970s. Also referred to as the Queensland Heeler or the Blue Heeler, the Texas Heeler is a breed whose origins are shrouded in mystery. Nonetheless, the breed thrives today as both working and companion dogs. Number 2. The breed is not yet recognized by major kennel clubs. One interesting thing about the Texas Heeler is that it does not need to be the result of both an Australian Cattle Dog and Australian Shepherd to still be considered as part of the breed. The Australian Cattle Dog must always be present, but the Australian Shepherd can be replaced by a Border Collie, and the resulting puppy will still be recognized as an authentic Texas Heeler. Such variation of genes in the making of the breed is the reason why there are no major kennel clubs that recognize the Texas Heeler as a standardized breed. While this dog is considered a crossbreed and has well-defined characteristics, it does not meet the standard that purebreds must meet. The breed is, however, recognized by smaller kennel clubs and associations including Animal Research Foundation, Dog Registry of America, and American Canine Hybrid Club. Number 3. Their physical characteristics. The Texas Heeler is a medium-sized dog, averaging a standing height of 17 to 22 inches. As for their weight, it usually depends on how the dog lives. If a Texas Heeler is used for herding, the pooch is generally more active and weighs less. Those kept as house pets are less active and weigh more. In any case, these dogs usually weigh somewhere between 25 to 50 pounds. One of the most notable characteristics of a Texas Heeler is their coat color. Most Heelers have speckled fur with mixtures of white, gray, black, and brown. And while their coloration is much closer to the Australian Shepherd, their fur is much shorter than their parent breed. Some other interesting characteristics of the Texas Heeler are their ears and tail. Although not always the case, most of these dogs are born with bob tails. But since not all Heelers are born with this characteristic, it is not a defining trait of the breed. Their ears, however, are more recognizable. The Texas Heelers usually have floppy ears. A few weeks after their birth, the ears will suddenly perk up and become straight and pointy. Their ears will stay this way for the remainder of their lives. But it is important to note that the appearance of each individually crossbred Texas Heeler is unique. Number 4. Genetics is important for this breed. As you know by now, the Texas Heeler is not a purebred dog. It is a hybrid of the Australian Cattle Dog and the Australian Shepherd. If there's a 50-50 cross between these two breeds, then that's known as a first-generation hybrid or F1 mix. The first-generation crossbred Texas Heelers are the most common ones, but they also have significantly more variations in looks and behavior. With both of their parents being a different breed, the puppies can end up favoring either one of them. They will often look and behave more like one of their parent breeds than the other. However, which one of the parents will be favored by each puppy and how that will manifest is impossible to predict. Each F1 puppy is a surprise. There are also Texas Heelers with a greater percentage of one breed in the mix. This is a result of multi-generational breeding, a fairly common practice with designer dogs that have been around for decades. Breeders cross a Texas Heeler with an unrelated Australian Cattle Dog or an Australian Shepherd, depending on whose traits they want to make more prominent. Additionally, some breeders are also developing second-generation Texas Heelers known as F2 generation, which is the result of crossing two Texas Heelers. So if you would like a more predictable Heeler puppy, there are options beyond rolling the dice with an F1 hybrid. Number 5. Their temperament. Similar to their unique genetic appearance, it is hard to predict the temperament of a Texas Heeler because it can vary massively from litter to litter. In most cases, it comes down to the temperament of the breed parents. When looking for a puppy, be sure to observe the mother and her temperament because the pup might have inherited some of the mother's character. Generally, Texas Heelers are loyal and dedicated. They're perfectly designed to work ranches in Western America, and so their drive to work is at the forefront of their temperament. This is an energetic and hardworking breed with natural herding instincts. They also make good watchdogs, although they don't tend to bark unless there's an intruder or a stranger nearby. Number 6. They are highly active. The Texas Heeler is an active breed that was born to herd cattle. That being the case, these dogs have pretty high daily exercise requirement. In addition to a daily 30-minute walk, they would appreciate some time to run and play outside. You can take trips to the dog park or to an off-leash area where your dog can run freely to exert all their excess energy. Remember, this is not a dog that will want to be cooped up in an apartment or spend their days lounging in your lap. Texas Heelers need plenty of activity every day in order to be at their best selves. If you happen to neglect your Heeler's need for exercise, negative effects might show up sooner than expected. These dogs will find their own way of releasing some steam. This can result in some torn up furniture, chewed up table legs and cables, or torn up newspapers. But generally, puppies are more prone to such behavior. Number 7. Their food and diet. The Texas Heeler requires a considerable amount of exercise, so to make sure your dog has enough energy to burn through their excess energy, they will need calorie-dense, nutritious meals that will fuel them throughout the day. It is recommended that you feed your Heeler dog food formulated specially for active breeds. This will ensure that your dog's energy needs are met. Their kibble should be appropriate for their size as well as their age. Another important aspect is making sure not to overfeed your dog. The Texas Heeler will need quality food, but not an excessive amount. As a rule of thumb, these dogs usually don't need more than 3 cups of premium kibble a day. If you are ever concerned about your dog's diet, it is always a good idea to consult with your vet. The vet will be able to identify and recommend the specific dietary needs for your pup. Number 8. Their trainability. Texas Heelers are highly trainable and they respond pretty well to training. Their ability to listen, learn, and respond makes them a great match for the person who wants to take training to a competitive level. The most important thing is that you train your pup in a way that is fun and fruitful for both you and your pet. Using harsh dominance-based methods could result in increased anxiety for a Texas Heeler, which could manifest as fear biting. So use positive reinforcement training methods for better results. Number 9. The grooming needs. The coat of the Australian cattle dog is coarse and low maintenance, whereas the coat of the Australian Shepherd is much softer and silky. Combine both coats in the Texas Heeler and this leads to an easy care coat which requires brushing only a few times a week. Their fur sheds moderately most of the time, but when the dogs blow their undercoats during spring and fall, the shedding can become heavier. You'll want to brush out your Heeler's coat daily during this shedding season with either a bristle or pin brush to help keep their coats healthy and minimize shedding. Other important aspects of grooming include daily toothbrushing to reduce plaque and tartar buildup. Number 10. Their health. Crossbreeds are less prone to hereditary health complications compared to the purebred dogs, which is why Texas Heelers are quite healthy in relation to other purebred dogs. But one of the most common health problems among Texas Heelers is hip dysplasia, which is the result of an abnormal formation of the hip socket. This is likely due to the excessive running and a generally active lifestyle. With age, this often leads to decreased movement and painful arthritis. In some cases, dogs may even lose the use of their back legs and require surgery or special equipment to regain mobility. While these issues aren't exactly common, some dogs may develop progressive retinal atrophy or cataracts in their later years. Thankfully, most serious health problems are relatively uncommon for this breed, and the dogs usually live between 13 to 15 years. Even then, we recommend taking your canine friend to the vet clinic regularly to make sure that none of these health problems prove a big concern for your lovely pooch. Alright guys, well that's it for us in our list of top 10 interesting facts about the Texas Heeler. Thank you so much for watching the video. Whether you want to go with a breeder or get your dog from a shelter or a rescue, we hope you now have enough information on these versatile and fierce dogs. If you already own one, let us know about your experience living with them in the comments below. Please leave a thumbs up and share the video if you liked it. For more interesting facts on different dog breeds, click on our channel and don't forget to subscribe. See you guys in the next one.